Like I said, we're going to be in chapter 13, section 1. We're going to be talking about this last paragraph. We're talking about trade and the importance of trade. If you talk about, even today, right? Our world today is based on this concept of trade. If your country is not trading well with other countries, you're in trouble. Most third world countries do not trade well with other countries. They don't have products that other countries want, and they don't have enough money per se to get products that they want from other countries. So it's very important, this concept of trade. So in the 1500s and the 1600s, European nations established trading posts and colonies in the Americas and the East, right? Like we had the colonies here. That's how we became a country eventually, okay? A colony, it's a settlement of people living in a new territory, but they are linked with a parent country by trade and by direct government control, all right? Colonies played a role in the theory of what's called mercantilism. Underline this. It's a set of principles that dominated economic thought in the 17th century. Keep underlining. According to mercantilists, the prosperity of a nation, meaning the wealth of a nation, that's a big word for wealth. The wealth of a nation depended on a large supply of, another word that we rarely use anymore, bullion. Sounds like something you need when you're making soup or something, right? Bullion. Are you looking for a highlighter or something?
No,
You're staring around. I don't want to.
No, I was thinking of something.
Okay. So, and bullion is simply a big word for gold and silver. That's all it is. All right. It's stuff that you and I still want today. Gold, if you are in the stock market or your parents like to make a little bit of money on the side trading, or if they can get into gold and silver, it never loses value. It only goes up, and it's very difficult to get into as far as getting a significant supply of it. But this is what our government and money and many countries had based their prosperity on for years. The dollar was always backed by gold and silver. Now it's just backed by our name. That's why it's losing value over time. All right. So countries wanted to have a large supply of gold and silver, right? That just makes sense. All right. Don't you want a lot of money? Right? If you have a lot of money, don't you feel like you're a little bit better off, right? But the old saying goes, mo money, mo problems, right? So we see that this happens in this concept of to bring in gold and silver, nations wanted to have what's called a favorable, underline this, balance of trade. A favorable balance of trade. So when you think of balance, right, I always think of like, you ever see those old scales, weighted scales? Like I think of Scrooge McDuck. Right? I always love the DuckTales, right? But I think of Scrooge McDuck where he would balance money on the scale, right? Right? And so you always want that scale tipping in your favor. You always want the money coming into your country, not necessarily going out of your country. And so how they do this is this concept of balance of trade. This is the difference in value between what a nation imports, underline this, and what it exports over time. What a nation imports and exports. So in order for you to make more money as a country, do you think you want to import or export goods? What do you think? Do you think you want goods coming in or going out? What? You said it. Out, right? We want to be exporting more goods. Good job, Paul. We want to be sending goods out. If we are sending goods out, what's coming back to us? Money, right? People have to buy our goods. We don't just give it away. So if we are sending out more goods than we are taking in, that means we are making more money from other countries as opposed to us doing what? Taking in more goods and sending out our money. All right, so do we understand that? So we want a good balance of trade, meaning we are exporting more goods. We are sending our goods somewhere else and getting another country's money. That's what we always want, okay? We also, in our own country, want to buy our own goods usually, right? There's always this push every 5 to 10 years, made in America, buy American, right? It helps the country stay strong. And that is very true because then our money is staying within our country. Every time you buy something, and there's nothing wrong with buying products from another country, some of them are just straight up better, right? And usually you want to spend money on a better product. But if you're given the opportunity, to buy something, if I have two phones, right? It's a bad argument, but because most phones are not made in this country. But if I have two phones and one is made in America and one is made in, let's say, China, and they're both just as good as the other, right? They're interchangeable. They have the same features, the same quality. your country would tell you buy American, buy the one that your country made, that it was made here, so that the money stays here as opposed to going out and making another country richer. Does that make sense? Everybody out there understand that? Give a head nod, something. Nothing. Yes. Oh, there we go. I got a head nod. Perfect. So to encourage exports, governments stimulated export industry and trade. They granted money, subsidies, or payments to new industries and improved transportation systems. So if we can ship things quicker, people are going to want to buy from us quicker. Anybody use Amazon in here? If you don't, you're living under a rock. Maybe you don't, maybe your parents do. My kids, I'll check my account, and all of a sudden there'll be other things bought, and I'm like, whoa, hey, hold up. My kids know how to use Amazon now. So, but they can get things shipped to you like within hours. I can order something right now, and by the time I get home, it's at my door. Right? That's this improved shipping. It makes people more readily able and willing to buy. I'm going to get it quicker. I don't have to go out to the store. I don't have to, I can get something literally shipped to my door within minutes. Right? I heard a comedian joke before about, if I want a hammer, a pig's ear for my dog, and he made up some other weird thing. He's like, I could have it in 6 minutes. Back in the day, you had to go to a hardware store, you had to go to a pet store, you had to go to some weird hair care place to get curlers, like all these different. Now, I go on Amazon, I click a couple buttons, it's at my door in, less than a day, most times, no more than 2 or 3 days. Think about how mad you get. Any of you out here, I get mad. I buy things a lot, right? Usually sneakers and stuff. But if it takes more than like 3 days to get to my house, I don't buy it. Like, I'm like, what? How long is that shipping going to, and they're going to charge me $12? Like, even if it took 3 days, 4 days to get to my house from, say, I don't know, Indonesia, that's pretty impressive, right? That's pretty impressive. Back in the day, to get something a couple states over could take months. Yes. Now you can have it I can order Coke from Walmart and it'll be delivered in 37 minutes. It's fairly impressive. And this is what makes people more willing to trade, more willing to spend their hard-earned dollars. But consistently wanting, in order for our country to be strong, any country to be strong, they want to be spending that money within their country or sending their own goods to another country and getting that country's money. It's a very simple concept. Does everybody understand the concept of balance of trade? Everybody in here? Good. How about out there? Anybody have any questions about that? Makes sense, right? So the old concept of buy American, that's the reason behind it, right? It's to make your country continue to be strong. It doesn't mean you're doing something wrong by not buying American, but that's the concept. It's to keep the money circulating within your country and also then getting other countries' money when they're willing to buy American. It was a big deal in the last presidency when the Trump administration really put the nails to China. We were bringing in so much Chinese product, all good products. Chinese make pretty good products, but they were not taking any of ours. So who was winning in that trade battle? China, by leaps and bounds. There's nothing against China. It's not a problem. But in order to remain strong in the economic world market, something had to be done. And so the Trump administration, put the nails to them. They said, we're not trading with you anymore until you, I'm belittling this a little bit. I'm making it as easy as, but they basically said, look, we're done. We're not bringing any of your stuff until you start taking some of ours. And China said, whoa, wait a minute. America is possibly the biggest importer of our goods. Okay, we'll take some of your stuff, right? So did it flip into our, balance? Not necessarily, because there's so many Chinese products that we buy here, but at least it got the money moving a little bit more back and forth, as opposed to it all going overseas. Does that make sense? So it's a pretty important concept. If you guys ever get into government or you ever get into banking, you're going to understand it. But if you ever balance a checkbook, you always want more money coming into your account than going out of your account. As a teacher, that never happens, but that's what you'll want to do, right? When you guys make it big in whatever profession you choose, always, always, always want money coming into your account as opposed to always it going where? Out of your account. Pretty simple concept, all right? So I'm going to stop the notes right there. I will put these up. They will be up